Welcome back to our second episode of our podcast of What Is It Like to Be in a Relationship with Me? And I did the homework from last week, and actually I found out what it is like to be in a relationship with me, and unfortunately, I found out it was a little different than what I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. So I did the homework, and I asked people around me what my values were. And I think the thing that was most, I don't know what I want to say, upsetting or revealing was I really care about my kids, and I really care about whether they know the Lord and whether I'm being a good example. However, what they had in my value systems was that were the Seahawks. It was playing football on video games and watching football, which I do a lot of. Okay. And also doing, jobs around the house. A lot of action. I'm working, but that's all they. And since, like you said last week, you obsess or do or focus on what your values are, and that's what they see me doing. So they naturally responded to those my values. So
so they see you value being productive.
Yeah, and also I care about football.
Yes.
Which is not what basically my thoughts and feelings and my actions didn't line up.
Okay.
And so I felt bad about that.
Bad. So that's an interesting part.
Yeah.
So that's a great thing to notice. We don't feel bad or good. Those aren't feelings. Those are judgments about our feelings. And so that's actually something that's really important as you go through this process. When you have your values identified, you're going to have responses to those. Mm-hmm. And the hope is to be curious and not judgmental about them because they're giving you a clue about something. And so we like to call things that feel uncomfortable as bad, mm-hmm. and things that feel good or feel pleasant as good. And really it's more unpleasant or like not pleasant and pleasant emotions more than it's good or bad feelings. They're just a neutral response. It's kind of what I do with those feelings that dictate whether they're good or bad. God doesn't say you feel bad about envy. He says don't be envious. So mm-hmm. What are you doing with your envy? How are you handling it? What are your behaviors and actions toward your neighbor based on those things? How do I address and handle that?
So you're saying when I say bad, I'm labeling that. I'm labeling that, but I'm not getting to what the actual emotion is.
Right, you're getting to a thought rather than a feeling. So bad lands in that turf, but one of the big clues you can tell that you are trying, if you're trying to say how I feel and you're saying a sentence, you are talking about a thought, not a feeling. Mm-hmm. Feelings are typically one word. They can sometimes be a little bit more, but typically they're in one word. And so that's a big clue to you if I'm expressing a thought or a feeling.
So I would say two words to describe an actual emotion.
You would use one word.
Oh, I see.
So like sad, mad, ashamed, embarrassed, versus I feel like you didn't want me today and that nobody was interested. So that's a thought. That's not a feeling, but I can use the word I feel, but that's not actually an emotion.
I get that.
Mm-hmm. So sometimes bad and good are judgments about emotions. They're not actually emotion words.
What is the importance of, I say bad.
Okay.
What is the importance to go beyond that to what the actual emotion is that I'm feeling? Because and now this, I'm going to say feeling, but it's a thought. It feels like it's too heavy. I don't want to deal with it. It's cumbersome. I've got other things I need to do. I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah. So, one, the emotional response is what's going to happen. So when you have a value, I think I talked about this a little last time, if you have a value honored, neglected, or violated, you're going to have a response. Mm-hmm. So your responses can be emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual, often all four. Because you're not just one of those, you're all of those things. Mm-hmm. And so if I'm going to just not acknowledge my emotions and just pretend they're not there, then I'm missing out on what's happening for me and I'm losing control. I lose my self-control and my ability to manage my feelings when I don't acknowledge them. The same that if I have an engine on the back of my boat pushing me, but I don't ever look at the engine, then I can't direct it and steer it and make the boat ride a real great time versus ramming into other boats off or maybe running over somebody. So, which we do with our feelings all day long. And so your feelings are the motivator for your actions. So if you have actions you're wanting to change, you've got to start to recognize the force behind them, which is your emotion.
Even though it might seem like a lot of work, I'm still going down the road or going in the water like you said.
Your boat's moving anyway, so do you want to run over people or do you want to have fun and pull people behind your boat with a tube?
Right.
So to think that feelings don't exist is like saying gravity doesn't exist. You can pretend that and walk off a building and say it's fine. But doesn't make it any less reality. You have emotions, period. You're having emotions all the time. Now, they're different degrees, different intensities, and they're not necessarily bad. It can be I'm calm, I'm mildly happy. Or it might be that I'm mildly anxious. It doesn't have to be a level 10 Richter scale emotion to be being experienced.
But with the subject of the podcast being what's it like to be in a relationship with me, if I am not able to know what emotions I'm actually having or even label them, then it's going to be very difficult for me to do better in relationships or be a better person, be the person I want to be, and have healthier relationships. So then
emotions are the connector for relationships.
Right.
You don't have relationship without feelings.
So
you have coexistence, but that's not relationship. They're not the same.
Well, like with your model about there's things that are moving you that you are ignoring, but yet they're factoring on you so heavy. You're saying these emotions are the connectors, but I have no idea. I could be, it'd be like having a stick. I'm swinging around. I could be hitting people, and all I'm trying to do is just connect with people, and I don't know why that's not working.
Right.
So it's super important for me to understand what these emotions are. So how does one do that?
Right. So being curious is a start. So that's why I mentioned
being curious about how am I feeling?
Right.
I said bad. I feel bad.
Right.
Where do I go from there?
Right. Okay. So there's a couple of different places. It's kind of like playing detective.
Okay.
Which could be fun or not. There's this process starting. It's difficult. But one of the first places is a great indicator to what you're feeling is what you want to do. Because your emotions are motivators for actions. And so when I have a response to something, I have an urge. Now, the urge doesn't mean I do it, because my culture taught me not to speak up, or it taught me to yell what I want, or whatever. So there's reasons to why you do or don't do it based on experiences and training and maybe God's word. You like, anger's bad, so I don't yell.
Social norms, cultural norms.
All that stuff ties in. But doesn't mean I have the urge any less. I just may learn how to manage my urges, the same that I don't sit down and eat an entire pizza by myself per se, but I have the urge to want to, right? So we develop those as we kind of go along. Another way to look at emotions instead of just like an engine on the boat is like lights on a dashboard. And so I can look at the engine or the dashboard of my car and drive, and the gas light comes on. I can be curious about that and what does it mean, or I can just keep on driving.
Right.
So oil light, same thing. Different side effects happen.
Right.
Different consequences happen if I just act like it's not happening. So it's a signal. So it's neither good nor bad. It's just an awareness. Something's going on under the hood, and now I need to be curious about that.
Okay, Beth. It seems complicated to. I mean, I think about it for very long, and it feels like quantum physics to me. I don't even really know what that means, but being a detective, I like the idea of that, but it seems complicated. What is an easy case of cause and effect for an emotion to find the emotion that I'm actually having?
Okay, so yeah. So what we'd start off with, anger is pretty one that a lot of us can grab to. Our culture seems kind of okay with everybody being angry, hence where we are.
Yes.
Right. So what's something that makes you mad?
I get mad. The traffic in North Idaho is worse than it has been. Let's say that. And I'm trying to get somewhere in the fast lane, and then somebody is doing far, far below the speed limit. In fact, if I talk about it much longer, I will get angry.
Which is great for talking about body sensations later. But
yes.
for now, So what it sounds like is you have a blocked goal.
Yeah.
Would you say that? You're
Yeah,
trying to
they're-
get somewhere and somebody is getting in your way.
They're physically blocking me, yes.
Yeah. So if you came to my class, we take all the major emotions and we do this process with all of them. We don't have time for that, so we're just going to I'm going to cheat a little and have
Okay.
us do this. So the blocked goal is tied to, so we call it a prompting event. So something that set off my emotion. You do not have an emotion without something happening, and that you need to be aware it happened. I don't get ticked at my friends talking crap behind my back if I don't know they did it, right? So I have to have an awareness of it. So I have a prompting event. Sorry.
A prompting could be a memory, though, right?
Sure could.
Okay.
It really can be anything, and that's unique to you. That kind of goes back to some vulnerabilities or things and pieces of like my history tells me to interpret and to know things. I'm sensitive to sounds and pieces because of, if I was a Vietnam vet, the sound of a missile dropping, I'm going to have a different response to a truck backfiring than somebody who's never been in war before. So even what I pay attention to changes based on my history. Am I always blamed for everything at home? And so I'm very sensitive to people blaming, or very sensitive to if things go wrong, it's my fault. So we all have some default things from experiences that have taught us that, / personality pieces too. But so you have a blocked goal, prompting event, okay? What did you want to do?
Well, what I usually do is I just sit in my truck and let's just say make judgments upon a person's character.
And are you hoping that said judgments are going to help them get out of your way?
I somehow, it's not a rational feeling, but yeah, I somehow feel like this energy that I'm expelling inside my truck is going to generate them moving over.
Right.
Or being aware of
Or
their
the
surroundings.
hand motions help them understand.
Yeah, I hopefully there's not a lot of hand motions.
Certain ones, right?
I have an occupational
Right.
problem with that, but yes.
Okay. So the idea here, we kind of neutralize this because this is specific, but the idea is that you want to step in. You would like something to happen.
Yeah, intervention.
Intervention.
In
I would like it to change. My
person
goal,
turn.
I would get out of my way,
Yeah.
whatever it might be. Okay. So if you came to my class, you'd have the clue about this, that is tied to anger. So if you had this cheat sheet that you have this information that we have, you could come back to your chart when you're like, I want to do this. I want to go yell at somebody. I want to go punch somebody in the face. I want to do whatever. And go, oh, this is a form of stepping in. Now I need to go, what do I think's happening? As a block goal happening, is that real? Is that legitimate? Yep, I am trying to drive. This person's going. Is my response and the intensity of my anger make sense, and is it helpful? So these are some curious questions.
I think it makes sense, Beth, but you're right, it's not helpful.
Or another fun question for us as Christians, does this help us reach the goal of representing Christ as we go?
Never.
So, well, anger can, that's the whole thing, but so this is a block goal. So this is how I can start. We'll get into how we shift and change it later, but I can now start to go, in the car, I'm angry. Like if you were to actually say to yourself, when you're, rah, 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 I'm angry right now. Do you think you might respond different?
And I realize that you're doing this one because it's simpler, but I think anger, I think I could have got there on this. Which is interesting, but it's the block goal. I don't think I would have connected the dots on, and actually a desire that I wanted to happen, which was something to them to do something.
Right. You get to use all three of these spots to be curious. So what happens is you get this chart with all 10 emotions with all these 3 filled in, and wherever you need to start. You might look at your prompting events to help you see. You might look at, what do I want to do? Or you might go, no, I know I'm sad.
So it's not it's not only you don't always find out what the emotion is by finding out what the response is. Sometimes it can work in any order. But the reality is whatever you don't know, it's like a crossword puzzle. Whatever is blocked, you are going to find out more about yourself by finding out one of the 3 quadrants that you don't know.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
So if I want to go, okay, I know I'm angry, and now I get to ask myself, is this helpful? If it's not helpful, then on another time I come to visit, we'll talk about what we do then. But
Right.
if I don't know what it is, I can't control it. If I don't know I'm feeling sad or feeling shame or feeling guilt, I cannot address it.
And that goes for every one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So next time, then, we are going to talk about how I felt about basically the homework that you did that I did
Yeah.
last time, and the gap in what I saw about myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds great.